Have you ever wondered why you stick to bad habits, even when you just know they're no good for you? Well, today we're going to get to the bottom of the real reason why, and you'll see how a simple mental shift, not just more willpower, is the key to finally breaking them. It all comes down to what our brains predict is going to happen next.
I mean, that sounds almost too good to be true, right? Can you really just think your way out of a habit that's been bugging you for years? Well, the answer is, believe it or not, yes. And the proof starts with this really cool story from a small apartment in Istanbul. So James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, tells this story about his friend Mike. Mike was a heavy smoker. We're talking at least a pack a day. But then one day, he just stopped, quit, cold turkey. And his secret weapon wasn't patches or gum or anything like that. Nope, it was a single book. So what was in this magic book? Well, turns out, there was no secret formula. What it did was it systematically reframed every single cue that made him want to smoke. It helped Mike see that smoking wasn't actually relieving his stress, it was destroying his nerves. So by the time he finished the book, the whole idea of smoking just seemed ridiculous. He didn't have to fight the urge, because the urge itself was just gone.
Okay, so how in the world did a book do that? It's because it didn't fight the habit head on. It changed the prediction Mike's brain made about what smoking would do for him. And to really get that, we need to talk about what a craving actually is.
You see, a craving isn't really for a cigarette or a cookie or another Instagram notification. Deep down, what you're really craving is a change in how you feel right now. Your brain is sensing this little gap between your current state and a better one. And that feeling, that little gap, that's the reason to act. And this separation right here, this is absolutely key. We all experience that surface-level craving, but it's almost always a mask for something much deeper, a core underlying motive. You might think, man, I really want to check Instagram, but the ancient hardwired part of your brain, it's actually saying, I need to win social acceptance and approval. And that's the real engine driving the whole thing. So here's the big insight. All these habit-forming products, from social media to junk food, they don't actually create new desires in us. They just find clever new ways to latch on to the same ancient fundamental motives that have been driving humans for thousands and thousands of years.
Just think about it for a second. Our modern habits are really just new solutions to very, very old problems. That fundamental need to connect with other people, that gets channeled into browsing Facebook. That need to reduce uncertainty about something, we search on Google. The technology is always changing, but the deep human motives behind it all, they stay exactly the same. And this brings us to the most crucial point of all. It's not the ping from your phone that's the real cause of your habit. It's the prediction your brain makes in that split second. The prediction that checking that phone will relieve your boredom or make you feel connected. Our brains are prediction machines, constantly guessing what's next, and our habits are just us following through on those predictions. Okay, so if it's all about our predictions, how do we fix them? How do we actually reprogram our own minds to make good habits feel, well, attractive? Turns out there are two really simple but incredibly powerful mental tools we can use. The first tool is a simple but powerful reframe. Just look at the difference between seeing your habits as burdens versus opportunities. You don't have to wake up early. You get to wake up early and have a quiet moment to yourself. You don't have to exercise. It's time to build endurance and get stronger. Just by changing one little word, you can shift your whole perspective and change how you feel about the action. This is such a powerful, real-world example of that exact shift. There's a story of a man in a wheelchair who was asked if he found it difficult being confined, and his response just completely reframes the whole situation. He said his wheelchair didn't confine him, it liberated him from being stuck in bed all day. It's an incredible reminder that our interpretation of our reality, not reality itself, is what really dictates how we feel. All right, the second tool is something called a motivation ritual. The basic idea is to link a really positive feeling to a simple cue that you can use anytime you need a boost. So for example, let's say you take 3 deep breaths and smile every single time right before you pet your dog, something you love doing. Your brain will start to connect that little routine with the feeling of pure joy. And pretty soon, just taking those 3 deep breaths and smiling can trigger that positive state whenever you want. You've basically created your own little feel-good button. So, we know how to make good habits feel more attractive. But what about the other side of the coin? How do we use these exact same ideas to finally break our bad habits? Well, it's simple. We just flip the switch. This is the core strategy from that book about quitting smoking. The entire goal is to make the bad habit unattractive. And you do this by systematically reframing your mindset to consciously highlight all the benefits of avoiding the habit.
This is all about flipping your perspective from what you're losing to what you're gaining. You're not giving up smoking. You are actively gaining health. You're gaining energy, saving money, building confidence. You're gaining your freedom back. When you start to reprogram your brain to see avoiding the habit as this massive benefit, the desire to actually do it just starts to fade away.
So, when you boil it all down, the real takeaway is this. The power to change your habits lies in reprogramming your predictions about them. It's not about gritting your teeth and fighting a craving with brute force. It's about rewiring the associations in your brain so that the craving doesn't even show up in the first place.
And that brings us to a final thought for you. Every single bad habit sticks around because, on some level, your brain predicts it will give you some kind of benefit, relief, comfort, distraction, you name it. So what's one bad habit you have? And what is that supposed benefit that you can start to question, maybe even reframe, starting right now?